Hello everyone, we are Group 1 and today we are going to talk about Asian solution for our school children and youth. Our presentation will be divided into four parts. The first one will be identify a problem. The second one will be some definitions related to our school children and youth and some situation analysis. And then the third one will be some Asians actions related to that issues. And the final one will be some evaluations related to those actions from Asians. Okay, so now let's dive in. The first part is about identify a problem. Okay, so based on the criterion of groups of countries in ASEAN, we have two groups of countries in ASEAN, which are high developed education and less developed education. Okay, now let's talk about the high developed education. We take we take an example of Indonesia. In Indonesia, educational disparities will be considered as a really big matter here. Um, Educational disparities include geographical areas, urban and rural, western and eastern, and among groups of people with varying income and gender. So as you can see here is that um, like there are a lot of students they don't have any chance to go to school. So I like we can take this as a really big problems related to not about the equity issues, but also the issues related to our school children and youth. So now let's talk about the less developed education. In Vietnam, the rate of female enrollment into upper secondary schools is much lower than that of the male enrollment. Um, and in addition to this, ethnic minority schoolgirls are the most disadvantaged in upper secondary education. And it's not just about like the rate of female school, I mean, the rate of female enrollments and the ethnic minority schoolgirls, but it's also about the disabled children. Only 4% of disabled children are in both special and integrated education. So that information is from Information Management Center of Ministry of Education and Training of Vietnam. So as you can see that there are a lot of students who do not have a chance to go to school compared to their peers and compared to other children over there. So it's not a kind of fairness to talk about education because education plays a really important role in the improvement of ASEAN in the future. So education is really matter here. So to improve the education quality, we need to care about the out of school children. Okay, so as you can see on the screen here, ASEAN had some actions and some declarations related to that issues. In 2014, a partnership between UNESCO and Educate a Child, which is EAC, it is a global program of the educational above all foundation, and a partnership between them provided educational access to Asians to boost like the education quality of our school children and youth. And they held two meetings related to that issues to improve the educational quality um, in relation to our school children and youth. Like in 2016, it focused on advocacy and policy change to help our school children. So as a result, the ASEAN Declaration on Strengthening Education for our school children and youth um, is created. I mean, was created. So from this declaration, it united the entire ASEAN region around a promise to improve educational access. So it's just about a promise to improve the educational access in ASEAN. And as you can see that on the screen, it is like a quote from Rodora Baran, the director of the director for the Human Development Directorate at ASEAN Secretariat. He said that we need to ensure that every child within the ASEAN community has access to quality education in our continued work towards regional progress and prosperity. So this declaration it coincides with the goal of education and the pillar of Asian community, with a view to improving a better regional community, and like it will be competitive with um, the other um, regional communities in the world. So another meeting was held in 2017. It provided regional level support to facilitate and broaden collaboration with UNICEF to make a real differences in the real life, supporting workshops under the partnership, and the UNESCO Bangkok and EAC assisted ASEAN member states in developing action plans. So as you can see here, there are an improvement compared to the meeting which was held in 2016. Because in 2016 it's just a promise to improve the educational access, but in 2017, like it was an action plan. It's just not just a promise because children need they need action, like they do not need a promise to improve. So yeah, so I think that is a really a kind of an improvement compared to the previous declaration. So from these actions, ASEAN's organized a workshop on strengthening education for out of school children and youth in Bangkok in 2017. So it marks like a really tremendous things, and like it can be considered as a milestone for the out of school children. And we will talk about this later in the part related to some ASEAN's actions related to that issues. So now Ling will continue to introduce to you about like the definitions of out of school children and youth, and some situation analysis.
Thank you, Zung, so much for your informations about educational problems identifications in our ASEAN community, and also the brief introduction about the declarations on our school children and youth. Now I will keep on our presentations with the problem description with statistic and example. To begin with, I would like to introduce the definitions and profile of our school children. So, who are considered to be our school children, or we may call it OOSC. All the country in ASEAN community agrees that our school children refer to those who accept, who are without the access to the formal system, like the children who not enrolled in formal school, though are dropped out from school or have not complete the the basic educations as required. And those children groups are traditionally marginalized in the society, and those marginalizations appear to relate to genders economically disadvantaged, those from remote rural areas, those from ethnic minority groups, child labor, and children with disability, early marriage, and also migration. And the age for being considered as a OOSC range from the age of 5 to 15, depending on each nation's educational system and society structure. Now we will move on to the problem description and situation analysis by some statistic and figure. This issue remain as the central concern for many ASEAN member states in terms of education, in the effort to firstly achieve the universal access and participation in basic education. The second effort is to adopt the SDG 4, number 4, which aim to ensure the inclusive and equitable qualities education and promote lifelong learning opportunity for all of the children. And some of the statistics we may know is that first one, 3.7 million is the number of our school children at primary level, and 4.1 million is the number of our school children in the age of lower secondary level in ASEAN community. And here's I provide you with the chart about the numbers of our school children in Southeast Asia. And this chart refer to the primary school age and secondary school age of our school children. And we can see here the numbers of our school children in the age of primary school tend to be higher than in the age of secondary school, except for some country like firstly in Thailand here, Cambodia, and Myanmar. And it's quite obvious that educational qualities or educational our school children improve across ASEAN community at the lower secondary level and primary age, especially in the country of Cambodia, and here, Malaysia, from 2017. However, when it's come to the statistic about our school children at the age of upper secondary school age for both sexes, the rate tend to improve, but not quite significant. Some country is more likely to stay remain. It means that it's come up and come down. It's just like kind of stable. Okay, so the regions for the distribution can be explained through the appearance of some social factors that I want to focus on in our presentation today. The first category I want to focus on is the figures of OOSC characterized by gender. The second is about the urban and rural locations. The third one is the income, and fourth one is about child labor and child marriage. As you can see, the chart here is about the figures of OOSC characterized by genders. We can see that in primary school level, there is a higher rate of boys than girls who are our school children. And the upper secondary level, there is a greater out of school rate among boys than girls in all of the country except from Laos here. And in the lower secondary level, it is the only groups which has the higher rate of OOSC among girls than boys. So we can see that this description is like a mixed picture. These trends seem to be like unlike the trends that we always imagine about, where the majority of girls are left out from school, left out of the school system. The overall situations that this chart and also our community gave us is the illustrations of very small gender gap with boy a little bit at a slight disadvantages. So you can see that girls and boys may withdraw from school for different reasons, often connect to firstly social norm and expectation. The norm and expectation here can refer to the difference in sex representation and in education, and those often reflects the society reality around the future employments. For example, more girls may attend secondary education without the responsibility of going on to enter the labor market if the gender's norm requires them to attend the domestic chores and the child raising, while boys may lose the opportunity to go to school at the secondary school level or tertiary level if they are expected to enter into the manual labor at young age. And now we will focusing on some kinds of other factors related to the factor of gender to be more specific about this kind of our school situations in our community. The first factors I want to mention here is the child labor, which directly related to the gender factors. Child labors have a higher risk for being out of school. And I state the statistic here. Among 1.7 million child labor in Vietnam, more than half are not in school. And you can see that the engagement in labor child is a push factor for their decision to stay at school or not, or whether they can attend or focus in class or not. And this data also suggests a link between child labels and other variables such as sex, as I have just mentioned above. Boys tend to enter the labor market early for their some kind of the living earning, right? And the highest proportions of child labor from range from 12 to 14 years old in Cambodia and 15 to 17 years old in Philippines and Vietnam. The next factors I want to focus is child marriage related to the gender factor as well. Others child marriage, we can consider it under the religious or customary law, and it put the girls on the disadvantages because they are socially isolated and have limit opportunity to be educated because they are child bride who are forced to drop out from school upon their marriage because they are pregnancy, for example, or they have stick to the child care responsibility as an obstacle to be joined in education. And I stated some statistic here. Between 2010 and 2012, in Laos reported that 35.4% of girls married by the age of 18, and the majority of Indonesia's girls, 87% who married early, stopped going to school. And next one is the problems characterized by rural-based children. All of those countries in ASEAN community experience this kind of urban and rural location gap in terms of non-participations of children in formal educational system. The OOSC are mainly found in the rural areas where educational service tend to be in the poor qualities, and the trend is the same among the lower secondary school level children. In Cambodia and Vietnam, the OOSC in the rural areas are almost twice as high as those in urban areas. And the last factors that I want to focus is the poor household, which have the close connection to the the last problems, which is rural areas. One of the factors that strongly determines the OOSC rate is the income of the households. According to 9 countries statistic, the highest proportions of OOSC belong to the poorest households. Our school children of lower secondary school in all the country in Asia follow the same trend. For example, in Malaysia's close to 9 out of 10 OOSC of secondary school age come from households in the bottom of 40% income quintile. And that is the all of the analysis about the situation with example and statistic. And now we will move on to the case of the declarations on OOSC, how it's come into functions and how it's take action to be to give out the best result and the best effective the efficiency to the whole ASEAN community educations, which presented by Duane.
In this part, we will discuss about the implementation of ASEAN Declaration on Strengthening Education for Out-of-School Children. As introduced before, the declaration was a commitment made by leaders from ASEAN countries in 2016. It was approved at the 9th ASEAN Education Minister meeting and adopted at the 29th ASEAN Summit. However, in the implementation progress, for many countries in the region, there are wide difference between the statement and the reality of out-of-school children. So, the first workshop on drafting the action plan was organized in May 2017 in Thailand. There are three objectives of the workshop, as you can see in the screen. In the workshop, the participants shared their policy level efforts and their future activity in the national education plans to address the issue of out-of-school children. They also suggested some regional activity to be implemented, such as strengthening the data on the profile of out-of-school children in each ASEAN member state. In the next few months, the second workshop was organized in Thailand to prepare the national plan, the regional plan of action, and the term of reference of the working group for the submission to ASEAN Senior Official Meeting on Education in December 2017. In the workshop, the national plan group to review the extent of ongoing and potential support of ASEAN member states to the implementation of the declaration. The participants also identify the gaps and recommend the initiative that ASEAN member states need to implement collectively or as individual ASEAN member states. There are many members support ASEAN in implementing the declaration, such as UNESCO, UNICEF, Southeast Asian Minister of Education Organization, and Teach for Network. I will introduce some regional activity of the organization on out-of-school children. First, UNESCO published some regional advocacy and information material. For example, the economic cost of out-of-school children in Southeast Asia and the situation analysis of out-of-school children in 9 Southeast Asian countries. The UNESCO also organized Asia Education Summit on flexible learning strategy for out-of-school children in Thailand to provide a forum in which policymakers, the private partners, and academics could share their creativity, innovation, and experience in education to enhance the situation of out-of-school children in Asian countries. The Out-of-School Children Initiative is a global initiative led by UNICEF and UNESCO Institute of Statistics with the aim to complete the out-school children studies focus on the analysis of the reason that keep children out of school and help to design a policy that could address the barriers. In Asian Conference on Out-of-School Children and Youth, with the theme No One Left Behind, the Southeast Asian Minister of Education Organization introduced the innovative educational resources for remote area technology. Uh, this um, this technology can be used to deliver educational digital contents in remote areas which cannot be reached by internet or electricity. Teach4 Network is a global network with the aim to develop collective leadership in classroom and community around the world to ensure all children have opportunity to fulfill their potential. There are more than 350 network teachers in ASEAN classroom, reaching over 40,000 students daily. There are 5 network partners in ASEAN countries of Teach4 Network. There are Teach4 Philippines, for Vietnam, for Malaysia, for Cambodia, and for Thailand. So with the support from these partners, ASEAN member states also design many projects and teaching programs to support the implementation of the declaration. For example, in Myanmar, UNESCO support the country non-formal primary education program. The program is designed specifically for out-of-school children aged from 10 to 14 years old, allowing them to learn outside the formal education system. In Laos, the project flexible learning strategy at primary education level target the out-of-school children aged from 6 to 9 to 18 years old. The flexible alternative learning programs allow learners to gain equivalent qualification to formal education, while also support their reintegration into the formal education system. In Thailand, the flexible learning strategy for marginalized children project target the children aged between 7 to 18 years old, including those who are migrant, ethnic minority, stateless, and unreached children along the Thai and Myanmar border. This project is promoted through the support of the Myanmar non-formal program education and the Thai basic primary education program. So learners who complete the programs can continue secondary education in Thailand or in Myanmar. So that's all from me, and the next part will be presented by Quý.
Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about the achievement and limitation of that program. Okay, and we come with the first one. Yeah, so we have K4 programs, Keratin Classroom, Clinic, and Canteen, which is projected in Philippines. Keratin Classroom, also known as Postcards Classroom, which were started in the Philippines and has been replicated in Indonesia and Kenya, is an international acclaimed program that caters to street children. The programs were further recognized in 2013 when UNESCO chose it as one of the promising initiatives in the Asia Pacific region that have helped accelerate education. It began in Cavite City in the province of Cavite as a 6-month-long weekly educational intervention initiative conducted among street children and out-of-school youth. Okay, and is also spread to underprivileged children in other areas of the country. The lowly keratin, known as postcard, is the symbol of poverty and destitution in the Philippines. Many homeless families, also called street families, live in the postcard, which serves board at their bedroom and livelihood through okay, as they gather and scavenge for recyclable and junk. Okay, the volunteer of this program, they use the keratin as a mean to house and transport all the learning materials, food, and first aid supplement needed by the children. And they also provide the learner with texts, books, and learning material, food or first aid kit, and bathroom kit. Okay? They provide food and with the item, so the learner will not worry about their financial burden. Okay, so that is the first example of the programs. So I will go to the second one. The Vietnam Complementary Education. Okay, is offer programs for educationally disadvantaged children, youth, and adults who have no access to or who have dropped from the formal schooling. It has equivalency programs in primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary levels. They are provided at continuing education centers located throughout the country. These programs are designed to provide a basic level equivalent to primary level and advanced level literacy skills, which equivalent to lower secondary level. Okay, and it is designed for children and youth aged from 11 to 18. Yeah. However, some region in the country target different groups depending on their local situation. The programs provide equivalency to formal basic education and assure that learner would be able to transfer or re-enter formal education. Their curricular was largely based on the curricular used in formal education. Okay. Yeah, that's some information about the second one, and now move to the third one. School and hospital programs projected in Malaysia. The program is one of the Malaysia's innovative programs for reaching marginalized children with health conditions. It aims to provide educational services for children and adolescents that are hospitalized or being treated. These were established to ensure that continuous learning can be done in a systematic manner inside hospital by providing an environment conducive for teaching and learning to ensure the readiness of children and adolescents, even while they are being treated. Okay, the Malaysia Ministry of Education (MOE), Ministry of Health (MOH), and Nuri Jakin Foundation (NYW) have collaborated on the design and implementation of the program. The MOE appoint and train all teachers from the program, and it also provide the textbook and other learning material as well as internet access. While MOH provide the space for the classes. The non-governmental organization NYF provide other learning tools that may be needed, such as laptops, software, and additional reading material. Volunteer from non-governmental organization coordinated by NYF also serve as a teacher. The assessment and monitoring of the program are conducted periodically, and it's also started being implemented in 2011 as a pilot test in the Pediatrics Institute of Kuala Lumpur Hospital, Ampang Hospital, and Sejong Hospital. As of 2015, there are 8 hospitals involved in the program, what is expected to eventually become a common feature in all state hospitals across the country. Okay, so now we go to the last example of the program. Non-formal basic education for migrant and stateless children projected in Thailand. This program is implemented by the Office of Non-Formal and Informal Education in cooperation with the Thai Health Promotion Foundation, Help Without Frontier Foundation, and Foundation of Rural Youth. It serves stateless children in Chiang Rai Province, Tak Province, Samut Sakhon Province, and Ranong Province, and also Phang Nga Province. Most of the students drop out of formal school because of language problems and the need to work in Ranong Province. Okay, 18 learning centers for migrants and stateless children were set up to cater to the migrants from Myanmar. While the LCS serves a number of limited areas, the number of attendees is not restricted. As the estimated that among the 10,000 migrants from Myanmar based in the Ranong province, 4,000 were restricted, while 6,000 were still unaccounted. A non-governmental organization which were responsible for that operation of this project, supervise and fund. Okay, so that's all about our presentation. Thank you for listening.